Julia knew she was smart. She was one of those clever children, the kind of child who figures out early on that parents aren't all-powerful and all-knowing. The first time she realized this was when she got scared. There had been a noise in her room, coming from under her bed or from the closet. Julia ran down the hall, crying, "Mommy! Daddy!" "What's wrong, honey?" I heard a monster," Julia glubbed. She expected them to comfort her, or roll their eyes, or get annoyed. Instead, they jumped up immediately and raced to her bedroom, where they checked under the bed, inspected the closet, and tested the window lock. They poked, prodded, and scoured every inch. Julia caught on quickly. She knew what they were doing. By taking her fears seriously, they were showing their little girl that she was safe and loved. They had probably read about it in some book, but the lesson Julia learned was that she had power. Thereafter, waking her parents became a nightly event. Julia would scream and cry. They would rush to her bedroom, and Julia would hide her grin behind her tears, but not once did they ever complain. One night she could stand it no longer, and she burst out laughing when Daddy fell down while examining the light fixture, as if a monster could fit up there. "What's so funny?" he asked, rubbing his backside. "You," Julia smirked. "You always believe me." Daddy wasn't angry. He just looked at Mommy. "Once," he said quietly. "Just once. We didn't believe your brother." And Julia, an only child, did not sleep well that night. I used to live in a small building downtown. One of the reasons I moved out was the bad neighborhood, including this guy in the apartment right over mine. He was a weird-looking fella who mostly kept to himself. Around midnight, though, there was frequently a strange noise that got on my nerves. It wasn't loud, to be fair, but I'm a really light sleeper, so it was hard to get my eyes shut with those little bumping sounds going on and on. It reminded me of high heels walking around, but not as loud, as if the person causing the noise was actually trying to be quiet. After a few days, I realized the pattern was always the same, like a recording played over and over with random intervals in between. And that went on for the best part of a year, always the same sequence of bumps, slowly tattooed into my mind, sometimes for hours straight during the night. It was only several years later, helping my daughter with her homework, that I learned a little bit of Morse code. She knocked on the table with her knuckles, and a shiver immediately went through my spine as I recognized that exact pattern. When I asked her what it meant, she laughed. "It's the easiest one, Daddy," she said. "It's the one to call for help." "Please, I'm begging you," I say, but the executioner only sighs and gives me a truly sorrowful look as he slides the IV into my arm. The chaplain sits behind me. Once he pushes the button, the drugs will be administered in quick succession. Unconsciousness will occur in roughly 30 seconds, and death soon after that, he explains, even though I've heard it so many times before already. "Any final words?" "Just, again, I beg you not to do this," I say. The chaplain nods sadly, sorrowful that I did not face my executioner with a clean conscience. That's the thing, though. I haven't murdered anyone. It's been this way my whole entire life. I don't know why, but whenever I would accidentally hurt myself, others near me would receive the wound. I once got a paper cut in class that caused 3 people around me to bleed from their fingers. In high school, I was in a car accident, and even though my side of the car was hit, my girlfriend developed a broken leg. I'm always very careful. I take care of myself, trying to stay in the very best of health. But when I was mugged by that trio, and he shot me in the face, their faces exploded, not mine. And when the cops came, they found me kneeling beside their bodies, trying to figure out what to do and stupidly holding their gun. Around 30 seconds after the execution started, I see both the executioner and the chaplain fall to the floor with a hard thump. "I begged you," I repeated sadly. All 3 of us were silent as we drove past the blank "Welcome to" sign and into the town with no name. The people all watched us with the same slack expression, their heads tilted at identical angles as if listening to a single, far-off sound. For a moment, the people in the car seemed like strangers, and I couldn't remember who we were or where we were going. But then we passed the last house, and it came back. We were all old friends, all traveling together, all safe, all 4 of us. "Menopause?" I blurted out, nearly punching my doctor in the face. He nodded, silently referring to my medical file. "It's not uncommon for a woman your age." "My age?" I gritted. "Wasn't my last checkup fine?" "It was," he said, trying to calm me down. "Is it rare? Yes, but not unheard of." "Maybe it's stress," I said, praying for a more temporary diagnosis. "Your body isn't producing eggs anymore, Rebecca," he said, closing my file. He lectured on about the female body, but my thoughts constantly went to my 5-year-old daughter, Amelia, and the eventual conversation about why she would never get to be a big sister. "Try to have a good Easter, Rebecca," he said uncomfortably as I walked out of his office. I pulled out of the parking lot and my tears were free to fall at will. I wanted to get it out of my system as much as possible before returning home to Amelia and her father, William. "How am I going to tell William?" I said to myself. That brought another fall of tears, so I took the long way home. "Hi, honey," William said before I was fully through the door. Amelia greeted me with a wave from the couch next to him. "Hi, guys," I smiled. As bad as things seemed, everything I was truly thankful for was sitting not more than 20 feet away. "How was your checkup?" William asked, voicing no concern. Why would he? There had been no signs that anything was wrong. "It was fine," I shrugged. "Ames here was just telling me an interesting story," he said, holding back a chuckle. "Is that right?" I said, sitting in the love seat. "I saw the Easter bunny," Amelia shouted and nearly bounced off the couch. "Good, honey," I replied, my typical mom response when I was distracted. "In your room the other night." I gave her a smile, but hers dropped. I guess my response wasn't exuberant enough. I grabbed the remote, turned on Hulu, and clicked the first thing in our keep watching list. It was obvious William was in control of the TV last, as it started playing some pedantic documentary about alien abductions and government conspiracies. "Why was he here so early, Ames?" William humored her. "Easter's a few weeks away." She started to answer, but stopped and pointed at the television. "That's him," she belted out. William and I looked at the TV to see an artist's rendition of the supposed gray aliens. It had the stereotypical bulbous head, almond-shaped black eyes, and scrawny frame. We fell speechless, waiting for Amelia to laugh at what was obviously a joke. "Theories as to why these beings abduct mainly females," the narrator spoke, but I tuned him out. "Our physiology, reproductive systems, alien hybrids." "He told me something, but I forgot," Amelia muttered. "In short," the narrator concluded, "they harvest the eggs of the abductees." "Eggs," Amelia finally blurted out. "That's what he said he needed."